We're headed over to the United Kingdom, where an independent body tasked with reviewing and updating laws wants to extend property rules to cover crypto and non-fungible tokens, defining them as personal property. The paper recently released, which focuses on crypto assets that go beyond just currency use, also argues that existing property laws can't sufficiently accommodate digital assets owing to the, quote, many different features and unique qualities when compared to traditional assets. Continuing the quote, the law must therefore go further to acknowledge these unique features, which in turn would provide a strong legal foundation for the digital asset industry and for users, the commission said. The seemingly crypto-friendly proposal is aimed in part in helping the nation's government achieve its goal of turning the country into a global crypto hub, the commission also said in the statement. And whatever the commission does here, I just wanted to note that Scotland and Ireland have their own legal systems, so they actually would not be affected by this. But Christy, if you're into it, I'd like to get your take on this first. You know, in a world that's rapidly acclimating to crypto and NFTs, we're seeing all kinds of different regulatory approaches to it. Where does this proposal from the UK fit in that context?
Well, I think it's kind of exciting that they're actually looking at these digital assets as property, and they're saying that, you know, it's the firms that are transmitting the money, or the funds that have to be concerned about the whole money transmission side of things. But, you know, on a personal level, like from you to me to Sandali to Will, those are not considered money transmission actions, which is, you know, at least they're getting that part right. My first sort of light bulb question mark over my head was thinking about these transactions as data, thinking of them also as data being speech as opposed to property, and where that definition of crypto, especially Bitcoin, can fall into that. If we're going to look at it, if we're going to define it as property in one context, can we also define it as speech in another context? But I think at the same time, they've also made allowances for that and said, you know, nothing is going to fit in neatly into one box or the other, and that there will always be crossovers and nuances that need to be negotiated and navigated along the way. Will, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, my quick thought on this before I hand it off to Sandali is just this reminds me of last bear market cycles headlines that we'd see a lot popping up, where it'd just be like, let's check in on this very random regulatory scene and see what's happening with crypto, because that happened a lot during the bear market because there's not all these huge fundraisers or tokens popping or funds collapsing. So we're a little bit of a different headline situation here. Last thought on it is just interesting to see how the jurisdiction by jurisdiction rollout of crypto regulation is going to occur, right? So we looked at here in the UK, there's so many different jurisdictions that they're going to have to individually work on cases for how crypto is defined. Now think about it in a global context. Think of it in the United States. We have so many different states that it has to go through. If you're trying to become a money transmitter, you have to go state by state in order to get all the money transmission licenses. Go like to South America, go to Asia. If you want to become like the dominant player in this, it's very difficult. You need to have a lot of capital. And that's why firms like Binance or FTX are really chugging ahead. They're getting huge raises and they're trying to make as many inroads as possible, because you need to check all these boxes if you're going to become the exchange de facto for everyone to use. Sandali, up to you.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, I kind of want to touch on the bigger picture here about UK becoming a crypto hub. So this proposal is very much a play for consumer protection as well, right? They're saying that if crypto is treated as property, then if somebody were to steal your property through a hack or something, you should be able to legally fight and claim your losses. So that's the kind of angle they're going for. And the big thing here is that the Law Commission says the proposal is, you know, part of the UK government's big plans to become a crypto hub. And the government, just before the recent big shakeup with Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Finance Minister Rishi Sunak and others resigning, said it wants to be the destination for crypto globally. And last week, in kind of a big move, the UK financial regulators proposed rules to Parliament to bring stablecoins under the jurisdiction's payments law. This would not only legitimize stablecoins as a means of payment, but it also signals to people that the ones that meet the set regulatory standards are safe to use. So the EU, by comparison, also just agreed on its set of stablecoin laws, which in part hopes to accomplish similar things, around consumer protection and economic growth. But the message was delivered in a very different, more sort of like beware of digital currencies kind of tone. So the UK is really trying to sound crypto friendly. And don't get me wrong, regulators are still calling crypto kind of a train wreck based on, what happened recently with the markets. And we don't know how far all these plans and proposals are going to go, especially with now the cabinet sort of all up in the air right now. But instead of, the European Central Bank every other day telling us that what we already know about a potential digital euro, that could work or could not work, that, needs to be capped, needs to be this or that, not really getting anywhere. And instead, the UK is sort of pushing, from what we're hearing so far, for the safe use of private digital assets. And I don't know, I mean, it sounds pretty, funny hearing individual stories like this, but the general messaging is definitely interesting and different from what we're hearing from the rest of the world. So that was my rant on that. But Christy, I'm interested to hear what you think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that any government that wants to be friendly toward crypto, I think that sends a signal to the rest of the world that maybe they need to notice that and possibly look at it differently. Maybe it makes some of them dig in more. I don't know. But yeah, to Will's point, what he was saying about, how everything is different all over the world and how people are going to have to eventually sort of settle on something that they can all agree on. At least we've got one voice in there that's representing two entities, Wales and England, that is coming down on the let's all make nice with crypto and see what we can do. I guess Adam, want to finish it off?
Yeah, just so there's one other thing I think that we can draw this back to, which is if you look at the United States, if you look at recent comments from Prime Minister Modi over in India, if you look at from the ECB, IMF, et cetera, you'll notice one thing in common that they've all been talking about, which is they want a unified regulatory scheme that doesn't just happen on a country by country or state by state basis, but happens across the world. And the reason why they want that is because they know that to the extent that they leave holes in that network, to the extent that there is a place where you could go that has less worse rules around the thing that you want to do, well, if the money or the industry or the opportunity is big enough, then you're probably going to do that. So what they seek to do is eliminate any sort of competitive options that would allow you to escape the rules that they wish to put on you. And I think that's the vision on the US side, right? This is how we keep control, is we make it so that everybody agrees to our rules. Now there's no place to escape the system. But the problem is that people's interests don't align with that, right? Whether you're talking about El Salvador, with their great Bitcoin experiment, or you're talking about, again, like a advisory body here coming out of the UK covering Wales, and England, like you're looking at an ecosystem that doesn't have all the same interests as the US hegemonic, dollar preserving kind of regime does. And so as a result of that, it seems very unlikely, seems like a bit of a pie in the sky kind of desire to even want that. And so we continue to see this on the one side, individual jurisdictions make decisions that they think are best for them in the big picture. And on the other side, the Uber allies on that side are doing everything they can to try and get everybody to agree to their sets of rules, even though it's not to the benefit of many people. So I like seeing that dynamic continue to play out. It gives me continued faith in our ability to look at reality and to make good decisions based on that.